Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole. The statements in the following broadcast are not necessarily the opinions of the Madness Comic Network, its staff, sponsors, or contributors. This show is rated TVMA, as are all of them and all those other letters. Viewer discretion is highly advised. And, just do what Doc says. Read that again. Peace, everybody.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The Madness Comic Network and comic-related madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hi, it's me, your hostess with the hottest coffee around, Laurie Calcaterra. I have just this giant mug of coffee today. And so if I get a little over caffeinated by the end of the show, I apologize, but that's kind of where I live on Tuesdays is I need the caffeine to survive. I hope you all had a great Monday. I know it was kind of a weird Monday, but it is hey, good morning, Lou. Here we are. So let's see. Let's give some updates. Path of the Pale Rider. The book we're 13 pages in. Matt is coloring page 13. I'm lettering. Gilbert is off and running again. He had to take some time to do 2 different shows. He did Bell County Comic-Con, and he also had this Deadpool gig at a theater, which was super cool. So he's back on path and he's running this week. So he'll be turning in pages. I wish I could show you some of this stuff. I'm showing you bits and pieces, but oh my God, we're in spoiler territory, this whole issue. So I don't want to spoil nothing because so many great ants. I can't even say it. I'm flabbergasted. There's so much good stuff that happens in this issue, and questions get answered, lots of things resolve. And then we're off and running again. So I really cannot wait for you to get your hands on issue number 5. I ordered the t-shirts yesterday. I finally got all the t-shirts in. I had some extra space on the gang sheet, so I came up with some new hat designs. So you'll be seeing me roll out some new merch. What else? I've been rebinding another book. Well, it was a book series. I rebound The Green Mile. So I don't know if you guys have been watching my Justice for Bucky. What? I don't understand. Chad, you'll have to explain. Anyways, yeah, and this is also true. I need caffeine in my life every day, but Tuesday's extra special. So I've been rebinding. I took the Green Mile novellas, which, is 6 books from Stephen King, and I rebound them into one, and it turned out really nice. I have to do the cover, the spine. Yeah, Chad is extra special. John knows. Chad's extra special. So, but it turned out super nice. I got this really cute mouse stamp. And let me show you guys. I don't know if you can see. So on the inside, of course, green screen. So on the inside, I kept the drawings that were in the book in the beginning of each book, and I framed it and I did some stamp work just to make it look a little crunchy. And then I have this little tiny mouse stamp. He's so cute. And so as you go through the different chapters, the mouse kind of moves around. So he's down here. I thought he's here again. So the mousey kind of travels around. But this one, I really had a good time. And like I said, it's so far so good. Got a little internal bookmark going. So I learn horse lives. Not to me, they don't, William. Just kidding. So we're having fun rebinding books, making merch, and the next thing I'm working on is some wooden things. You'll have to see Mr. Jingles. That's right. The mouse is Mr. Jingles. So yeah. So we're working on things. Path is doing great. It's going forward. If you missed the campaign, I don't know if you realize, but we do have a website, just www.pathofthepaleWriter.com. We got all sorts of stuff on here. We have this big old list of things, but we do have a shop. There's a shop link at the top and the bottom, but you can The only thing is I wish you could sort it a little better. I did add the trade paperback, the PDF only. So if you haven't read 1 through 4 and you backed number 5, you can purchase the PDF here. So we made that available. You can pre-order any of these copies as well. They're not, obviously we haven't gone to print yet. Good morning, Andrew. We haven't gone to print yet, so you can still get in there in the first printing and the fulfillment. So I have some of the t-shirts. I need to add more stuff here merch wise. I feel like I'm kind of short on the merch. But anyway, so we do have this webpage. It's here in case you want to click around and see. There's hot sauce. There's all sorts of crazy things you can find on this website. So there she is. Anywho, enough about me. Let's talk about our guest today. What's this? You have your own website. Now you're just getting bougie. I've had the website for a while. Chad, you're fired. You're fired. Oh, Chad, by the way, remember I was like, I have to go. There's too much commotion going on in the room next to me with my children. They're both grounded for the next 2 days. They had a water fight in the bathroom. They were throwing cups of water at each other. My bathroom was soaked. Yeah. So our guest today is none other than John Westhoff from Part Time Comics, who does so many good things. Just incredible to watch this man work. We were talking a bit in the back room before the show, and I was like, I still have a great amount of respect for anybody who can manage more than one project. And John actually has 2 live projects right now, 2 different projects. Oh, hey, Brandon. What's up, man? And so, what do you, oh my God, what?
I have 2 live projects. What am I
Which is
doing?
crazy. Which is crazy. Legendary and
crazy.
well-deserved. That is correct. So, we're definitely going to talk with John. For anybody who is not familiar with John, first of all, welcome back. I think this is your 3rd or 4th visit to the brew, is it?
I think 3. I think this
I
is
think
a
you're
3-peat
3.
for me.
Yeah. The only one, again, justice for Bucky. I don't know what's going on in Chad Perkins' brain. Maybe you should drink some more coffee, Chad. But I feel like the only person that has John beat is Carissa Grant. So
Yeah,
she's-
and I'm not catching her anytime soon, but
no.
I'll gladly take 2nd place to Carissa.
Yeah, she's got her own like entrance because she's been on the show so many times.
Yeah, and I mean, thanks for making room for me again. I feel bad always begging to come back on because I have
No,
700
I like
projects.
having people on. I like having repeat people because it's like we get to know each other in the first, time or 2 that we're on the show. And then it's like touching base and seeing how you're progressing, how your career is going, all the books that are coming out. It's exciting to me.
All
You
the
know?
suffering that's happening. Yeah, it's
So
good to
I'm
share
with
the
you.
suffering.
I'm with you. I always say embrace the suck because someday when you're rich and famous, when you look back, you can be like, man, I stuck in there and I went through the sucky part, to get where I am today. It makes you appreciate, the good times if you go through the sucky times, I guess. I don't know. Is that a
I
thing?
think so. I definitely think so. If somebody just came up to you and handed you $20,000 to do your book, would it still be a good book? Yes. But would it be a great book? Maybe not. And you wouldn't have the lessons and the drive to push it through.
Right. To think outside the box to be successful. Because a lot of times it's like people get in here like, oh, my story's great. Everybody's gonna, flock to my it don't work that way.
No, it
You
don't.
you gotta do everything that you can think of.
And I certainly embrace the suck. I would like not to sweat to the last day every
Yeah.
launch, but it is what it is. At least we get there.
Well, I feel like I don't know if this is true or not. You can probably speak more to this than I can, but I've heard that when you're a writer and you're writing these different stories, a lot of times your audience does not translate from one to the other. So I'm running Path, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm going to run The Agency. Everybody's already so excited. I have this story called The Agency, and I run my Kickstarter, and like none of the people will show up, right? It's like you got to start over with that audience.
Yeah, I do. After doing it for 15 years now, we've got a decent core. I would say 50 to 75 backers come back
Nice.
for almost every project, which is amazing. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, depending on the project. But yeah, we've got a good core. It gives you some confidence going in and saying, okay, I know I can get to like 50-ish backers. Where do I get those extra 100 or so?
Yeah.
But we do have a decent core of backers, which we really appreciate.
That's awesome. Because that's my concern. Because like we were talking, I only do Path, but I have other scripts. I'm hesitant. It's like anytime there's change, it makes me nervous. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Even issue to issue, you don't know who's going to come back, so there's always that. But you're right, especially if you're jumping to a very different
Completely
genre,
different.
because people do like their genres and stories. So that
Yeah.
can be hard too. And I'm incredibly guilty of that. I jump to different stuff all the time. So
I would say you have a wide variety of stories, which I think is great. In my personal opinion, if you can, break genre, like this is a thing for actors, right? They get typecast as bad guys or heroes or old ladies, and it's hard to break out of that, you know? And so for a writer, for someone that does music and apocalypse and chickens, like it's three completely different things and they're all successful. That's great, in my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
definitely feel like I have a secret Westhoff verse genre in there, in that really all the books are about like sad sack people who didn't get what they wanted, and now they're left to pick up the pieces like our current book. So there is kind of a
Mhm.
secret undertone to most of my books, which I just that's kind of who I am. There's always going to be a lot of humor in my books because again, that's kind of always how I
Yeah.
am, looking at the lighter side of things like the apocalypse and demonic possession and stuff like that. So I definitely feel like I have a wheelhouse, but yeah, I like to dip it into different genres so people don't pick up on that I'm just writing the same story over and over again.
Shh, you gave away the secret. John is happy depressed. Happy depression? Happy depression? Is it?
It's a new term.
I don't know. Chad, I think you just coined that. I think you just created that out of the ether. So, John, real quick, why don't you give everybody a recap of your journey? John's been on the show a couple times, so if you all are interested in getting like the full deets of how he got where he was, feel free to go back and check out a previous issue of the Tuesday Morning Brew with John on 2 other times. But real quick, tell people how you got into comics, kind of what drives you, why you write about bulletproof chickens, all that.
Well, I am John Westhoff. I am the owner, writer, letterer for Part Time Comics. You can find us on all social medias at Part Time Comics with an X. But yeah, I've been publishing for about 15 years. This is my second uh, go around with a publisher. I was teamed up with somebody for about 10 years, a longtime business partner and friend, Bob Garnellis, and I ran Kingbone Press until it kind of came to its natural course after about a decade. And then I kind of got the itch again a couple years later, and I started Part Time Comics. I think this December will be 5 years ago. And yeah, I've
Wow.
just been. It's kind of just it's just a home to kind of park my stories and projects that I work on. Um, Trying to give it a more professional look with by giving it a name. It could just be called John's Books, I guess, at this point. So in my previous venture, I did publish other people's books, and I haven't taken that leap yet. So it really is just kind of a home to publish the stories that I want to tell. I never really was the kind of person that grew up saying I want to write and make comics. That came later in life as I kind of transitioned out of making music. I said, I want to be creative. I see a lot of other people, making comics, and they kind of inspired me. Like, yeah, maybe I can dip my toes in it, and started around 2009, and I've been doing it ever since.
Ooh, 2009.
Yeah, the long, long ago.
Gosh. You're like, "I've been doing this for 5 years." 5 years, like, I wrap my head around, but, like, 2009 feels like it was yesterday, but it's closer to, like, it's almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a long time.
"No."
I try not to think about it too much because all that time that has passed. But no regrets. I mostly do it, again, as a creative outlet. I Part of making music was more about the connections with people and the uh, the friends you make along the way. And comics is very much the
Mm.
same. I like working with collaborators regularly. I like making friends, having conversations like this. That's what I enjoy. I have no delusions of grandeur that I'm gonna win an Eisner or write Amazing Spider-Man at this point. I just want to enjoy the time I have with the creators that are willing to work with me.
Yeah. I just wanna tell my story, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, I just wanna be able to tell my story and have people appreciate, the journey. I don't know, for whatever take whatever you want out of it, you know what I mean? And if it
Yeah,
turns into something else, great, but
and I'm fortunate, I'm gainfully employed. My spouse is as well, so yeah, I can kind of do this as a hobby plus activity. So of course I want the books to be successful, but I don't rely on them for income, which is great. I do try
Mhm.
to make sure my artists are paid their rate because a lot of them aren't full-time working artists. But yeah, I'm the same as you. And especially with part-time comics, I kind of got a little burnt out being a publisher. Took a couple years off, and then kind of got that itch again because, like you said, I want to see these stories out there. I want to continue to collaborate with people because, you know, however long I'm on this this godless
Mhm.
rock. I want, at the end of the day, I want to kind of lay my head down and say, well, I'd rather have these creations, like I said, with music and comics and whatever, that I made together with, friends I made along the way, rather
Mhm.
than write for other people. And I have gotten a couple opportunities like that, which I appreciate. But it's really about kind of seeing these stories through. As that big 4-0 number came up, I kind of got the anxiety
Yeah.
of, oh my gosh, my life is ending. I should probably do this now before it's too late.
I didn't start until I was after 40,
There you go.
which
Never
is
too late.
crazy. By the way, in 2029, there's going to be a giant meteor that's going to hit the Earth. So we got to wrap up these stories pretty quick here.
Yeah,
We have
right.
5 years left.
Carissa, you're on notice. You gotta
Yeah,
get through all
Carissa,
900 issues.
you better. Well, she's doing her damnedest to get us a whole book because you know what I mean, or 3 books for her. 3. I don't know. She kickstarters every other month at this point, so
Right.
I don't think she can go any quicker. Honestly, that's awesome. So yeah, that's what we've been doing and talking about. Let's talk about. Please don't tell people that, Chad. Why? I think that's interesting. I would love to hear this story. At some point, we'll have to have Chad come tell us.
Please do not publicly tell
Why?
people that I'm responsible for you, Chad.
That's different. No problem starting writing. Right. Yep. Yep. And it's funny sometimes. And that's what I love about comics. Bring on the giant meteor. I know. I think that's where we're all at right now watching the news. It's just like, can that meteor speed up and get here a little quicker? I'm just asking for a friend. Good morning, Geekman. But this is what I was saying about comics is that it doesn't matter when you find comics, it's the right time. You know what I mean? There is no sweet spot window where it's like you need to get in before you're 25 if you're going to be successful. It's like you can start at any point in your life and become a part of the community and start making great stories, which is, I think, one of the best communities that you can be a part of, you know?
Absolutely. And part of the fun of comics is uh it's unlike any other medium, right? There's such a low barrier to entry. You and I could sit down tonight, and even with remedial drawing skills, we could make a comic by tomorrow morning and go
Yeah.
Xerox it and start handing it out to people.
Yep.
And again, you can't do that really with movies and maybe a novel, but TV, all that kind of stuff. Comics, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, at whatever speed you want. So I think part of the issue is that, like you said, people start using that word like, "Uh, if I don't start by this time, I'm not going to be successful."
Right.
So what do you think successful is? Does that mean money? Does that mean fans? So once you start going into there, you're getting away from what you really wanted to do, which was to create a comic.
Which is
So if you want to
create
create a comic,
story.
just create a comic, and then you can't always control all the other stuff. You can't control how many people are going to back it, the finances of the world, how successful it's going to be. But what you can do is sit down and make it and see what happens from there.
Yeah. I don't think people would enjoy Path of the Pale Rider with my drawing. I'm just saying, but
No,
we could have done it.
I definitely hire more talented people to help me too, because I know how that would go. But again, you could, if you wanted to just go through the experience, and you really should. Or again, you could, find a
Mhm.
friend online that's willing to, do your 8-page story, see how that goes, and then go from there. And stop thinking about all the stuff that's mostly outside of your control that stops you from doing it, like comparing yourself to other people. And there's like,
Right.
because you only have this moment, right? You can't say, I should have started by I was 25. Well, okay, you thought that. Now you're not 25. What's the next step?
Right.
We
Move
can't
on.
go
Let
back.
that go. Let it go.
Because I think about
Be in
that
the
too,
now.
time to time. I'm like, I don't have any regrets about it, but I do sometimes say, if those 10 years I was with Kingbone Press, if I had focused more or worked harder, could I have helped these books be more successful, or could
Mhm.
I have been more organized and successful? Could I have built better contacts with, review people, all those things? But
Yeah.
I can only think about that for a moment and then say that time has passed. What have I learned? What can I do?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that's the right attitude. But you still want to learn. You still are striving to be a better version of yourself every day. That's the goal. But um, comparing yourself to others and comparing, to what happened in the past, I don't think does anybody any good.
Yep. And it's
Yeah,
okay from time to time. You're going to get down and lick your wounds, get back up.
dude.
What's the next step? Because
We're
that's
all
all you can
there
do.
in that valley of death in the Kickstarter. You're like question
Yeah.
all your life choices. Like, why do I do this to myself every time? But but then it goes back up and we get funded, and that's how life goes.
Yeah.
So speaking of getting funded, you guys, we have the opportunity to help John get funded. He's got 32 hours left. This thing is counting down, and
Ooh, 93
about
bucks left.
we're under $100. So
96. I don't know how to count.
I can't do math
96.
either at the top of my head. I'm trying to make
We are
this. I was
so
like,
close. Less than $100. You can
yeah,
be the hero.
I'm gonna drop the link here in the chat, and then we're gonna walk through this Kickstarter. But why don't you give us the elevator pitch for this story? Because this one's a new one for Part-Time Comics. Yes,
This is a brand new series
I like it.
that I kind of sat on the idea for a couple years and finally found the right artist to work with in Winston Gambro. Here you see his amazing art. But the short
Yeah,
pitch is a series of global catastrophes has left life on Earth decimated and made comic collecting a huge disaster. Follow a group of survivors in the post-apocalypse as they run the last comic shop. I, like many people, I'm sure yourself included,
Mhm.
you are an author in this genre. We love our post-apocalyptic fiction, right?
Heck
We love
yes.
it. The Road, I Am Legend, 28 Days Later, The
Yep.
Walking Dead, all these amazing, and I do too. I've always considered myself, a huge fan of that genre. All the questions, what would I do, and what would it be like, and when would this happen, and what would the world look like? But I had this vague idea that I wanted
Mhm.
to do, and I'll be honest, we were just talking about comparing yourself to others. I couldn't push through the fact that what can I say about this genre that hasn't already been said by these great authors, right? So I
Yeah.
kind of got intimidated. Like, how do I put my foot into a genre which there's been so many, good examples of, and all of them are different and whatnot, but it's still just that idea. What happens after the end, so to speak?
Right.
And then I thought to myself one day, well, what would I be doing? Well, I'd probably be still collecting comics or all these toys behind me. And I'd be like, well, everybody's dead. So now I can go to the comic shop and get that last key issue. I can go find those Star Wars toys that people were. And I said, oh, that's my in to the genre, right? And obviously it's a little meta with the medium we work in. And then I sat on it again for another couple years until I had an artist attached, and then they couldn't do it. And then it was just like, oh, well, it's just not going to happen. And then Winston and I had worked on a couple of projects. I pitched it to him. He loved the idea. He had his own ideas, which is always great. Uh, when the person's not just like, hey, send me the page rate and I'll do it. They're like, oh, I'm into this.
Yeah.
I want to contribute to it. So that made me excited about it again. And he's already added so much to the story. There's a bigger story here, but we're kind of just doing this 2-issue series to see how it goes first. But
Mhm.
there's definitely a larger story. So don't feel like just because it says 1 of 2 that would be the end of the series. The more support we get, the more Winston and I can work on other stories that we've already started throwing around in this genre. So that's kind of the
Cool.
short history of how LCS came to Kickstarter.
That's awesome. All right, let's watch the video. I love videos. You know me.
Oh, the
I'm
video.
gonna make you watch my video every time, John. In fact,
I'd
I was
rather
like, why don't we go pull up some Ellie bloopers and make John Westhoff watch
you
it?
can put those up. This video is super rough.
We'll see. I'll make
Hello,
up my
Last
mind
Comic
about
Shop
that.
listeners. This is John from Part-Time Comics. You may have heard of our great
Look at
series
these
graphics.
drumsticks
Oh
of
my
doom
gosh,
or
child
legendary.
possession services. But we have a new series coming out in 2024, LCS.
I love the colors.
A series of global catastrophes has left life on Earth decimated and made comic collecting a huge disaster. Follow a group of survivors as they run the last comic shop. You can find more information on any of these books at linktree/part-time comics. That's part-time comics with an X. So I hate to keep. I love that shows like yours. You love to play the video. I hate the video. If you could see that in this video, I hate the whole process. I hate having to know how to edit videos. It's gotten beyond my abilities. So I waited till the last minute, and I was like, I'm not doing a video. Screw these videos. I'm stubborn. And then like an hour before, I was like, I got to do a video. So I had to throw it together in the last minute. So I'm sorry for anyone who watched the video. I know that it is important and people put a lot of stock into it. But when you have 1,000 things to do, sometimes the 999th gets the least attention. So
No, and you know what's funny is I love my video and I hate my video too. I think everybody has that feeling because you're like, I'm putting all this work into this thing no one's even gonna watch it.
I can't believe it. I think it's almost up to 100 views with this Kickstarter. I'm like, oh,
That's
geez. Like,
amazing.
and again, the funny story, what I like about the video is that when I first thought of the idea, the last comic shop, LCS in our community stands for local comic shop, but I
Mhm.
Googled the term last comic shop to see what came up. And I found a podcast called The Last Comic Shop. So I reached out to them. I said, hey, I have a comic coming out that just happens to have the same name. I just wanted you to know it's not, based on your show or anything. I hope you're cool with that. And they were like super into it. And they were like, oh, we'll do free promo for you on the show. So
Nice.
the thing is actually a commercial for their show. So it was nice of them. So I do like the video for that. It kind of reminds me that
Yeah.
they were really cool about it. They've promoted and championed the book that they really have nothing to do with, except for we share a
The
very
same
similar
name.
name. So that was a funny thing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Last Comic Shop Podcast. Check them out. And I did find out it is a very good show. And
Did
they
you go
kind of,
on it?
it's the premise. I have not yet, but the premise is that they're the last comic shop and they're reviewing like all these old back issues, similar to what I was saying about the book. Because again,
Yeah.
I really think that's what we would do, right? I
Yeah.
can finally catch up on that.
Yeah.
Now that I don't have to go to work anymore, I can catch up on my to read pile.
Wasn't that like a Twilight Zone episode where there was
Yep.
like one guy left and
And
he
he
was
breaks
in
his
the
glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The ultimate
Better
O.
hope you
Henry ending.
don't. Yeah. Don't lose those glasses. One thing that really strikes me about this is the color palette that your artist chose.
Yes. I'm so
Um,
glad you said that. Winston is the colorist
he
and
is.
the penciler and inker. And this is the one what I was talking about. This is like, again, whatever success this book has, I can always remember this because I've had an idea of what it's looked like in my brain for, at least 7 years now that I've
Mhm.
been sitting on this. And boy, did it not look anything like this. And he said he was just playing around and he wanted to make it look radioactive. And when he sent me the cover, I was like, holy cow, did you go far beyond the assignment? Like he just nailed
Yeah.
it. It looks so cool. And then there's a couple interior pages down there. You can just see it just gives that nuclear look
Yes.
to a dilapidated Chicago. And I was like, wow, like again, I would have never come up with that. I don't think in color like that. I'm not a colorist. And just for him to, I was like, okay, we got the right guy here. So
It must have started with this color green because when you're thinking about the apocalypse, and if you think that's exact, I was like, what would you even call this shade of green? And when you said radioactive, I'm like, aha, that's what it is. It's a radioactive green. And
yep,
then of course, right across it on the color wheel is this like magenta pink. Um, so those two
100%.
just pop. Huh?
And Winston and we worked together on a couple. He did the cover for our Simpsons tribute. He did the coloring on the first issue of CPS. I've seen he's an amazing writer and artist of his own books. So I very much wanted to work with him on something.
Yeah.
And again, each of his books are kind of unique in feel, and he's a great designer. He actually designs the trade dress for Oni Press. And again, he just took the assignment. And I didn't say anything about the colors in the script. There was nothing about that. He, like you said, he kind of started in that pew screen area, and it was like went from
Yeah.
there. And it just, wow, hire a professional because they're going to take it to the next level. I feel like it
Right.
adds so much to this book that I
Yes.
think that alone, Winston is worth the entry, and hopefully the story that we built together will also enthrall people. But buy it for the art at least.
It's gorgeous. Just the colors make the book. And then of course your story on top of that is fabulous. Everybody, I had a chance to preview this. Last time John was on, we were talking about this was in production. This is what was coming next. And so it's cool to see, that it's out here in the world and it's kicking butt and taking names and
And
about
it's the first book in
I
part-time
love
comics
this cover.
history that is complete upon campaign, which I rarely do. I need the funding, to pay the artists to
Yeah.
continue. Winston and I were able to work it out. He found time in his schedule and we got it done. So it's in hand. As a matter of fact, we've already printed the
What?
radioactive metal covers,
So cool.
which you saw at the end of the video. They actually glow in black light. I
Yeah.
had to get a black light bulb. I wanted to test out these from Ready Comics because again, I'm in love with this cover from Winston and just do as much as I could with it. We also did we did some magnets with it as well. So I'm
Cool.
like in love with this cover and this color palette, so I'm just gonna slap it on everything I can.
Yeah,
But yeah, the book it's done. So
that's
um,
amazing.
and
Oh, I
again,
just
we
saw the end. You just spoiled it for
that
everybody.
was the middle actually,
I'm
but
just kidding.
um, yeah. So again, we don't often have that chance to do that. So it was cool to get a test print run of these metal comics ready. Comics did an amazing job on the cover. They're so cool, and yeah, all we got to do is hit that funding goal, and I'm ready. I've got the order in my shopping cart ready to send it to print.
Yes. And I'm cracking up because the chat's like, this would be their side quest in the apocalypse is going to collect things.
I'm telling you,
Look
you'd
at
have a
a
lot of free
hobby.
time on your hands.
Yeah, I guess if you're not out collecting food and water.
Yeah, that's true too.
This is a great cover too. I this is the one that I picked. I love this one, but I was like, there's something about the lizard going. You know me and skulls. I'm like, I
Yeah,
skulls everything. So,
and that's my
um,
longtime friend and collaborator, Ray Wegner. I hadn't ever had him on a cover. We've known each other for about a decade, and
oh,
that was the short pitch was, a human skull. That's kind of his thing that he works in, and he's like, I got you. So Winston helped us
nice.
with the colors on that. Again, nailed it. It's kind of got the
The
theme of
green.
that green. So yeah, I think it came out good. I do rarely dabble into art and graphic design, but I have to give myself a slight pat on the back. I did do the logo for this book, so
Yay.
I'm proud of that.
I was like, do I see lizard plushies in the future? I'm just curious.
Maybe.
Maybe you should add extra legs to this one too.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That can be your thing is the lizards with too many legs.
That's what I'll do.
So funny. Yeah, here's another look, guys, of that radioactive glowing metal cover. It's so cool.
It's not actually radioactive.
No, it's
You
just
won't get
black light,
cancer from
people.
it, but
You don't need to wear the suit. But if you have a suit, please
yeah.
put it on and
And
get
take
one
a
of these
picture
and
of you
take a
reading it.
picture
Yeah,
and
exactly.
send him to John. Yeah.
Please do that.
I like how you put in there, not actually radioactive. That's funny. You're like, please
Yeah.
don't come for me.
Winston was kind enough. We've got logo stickers. We've got the magnets that I showed.
Yeah.
Winston was kind enough to donate some of the original art to the campaign, which I should put
Ooh.
there. Unfortunately, you missed the chance to get the cover pencils. They have sold, but
Yeah.
there's still some great original art, including Ray's cover that you backed is
Yeah.
available. We were able to secure that from him later in the campaign, so please check out those original art. We don't always have the availability to put the original
Yeah.
art in the campaign, so it's kind of a rare thing, especially both covers. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
I
That
am
is the same.
saddened that they won't be in my hands, which I usually try to secure them for myself, but sometimes
Yeah.
you got to let it go.
Yep. That's how we did in our campaign too. And I'm like, if someone really wants this, great. If nobody gets it, it's going on my wall.
Yep.
Sorry. This was your chance. And I love, and again, everybody, we talked about all the different books that are under part-time comics. And so these are all available, which is so cool. We have child possession services, um, which is basically CPS, but plus The Exorcist, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
It's The Office meets Rosemary's Baby,
it's great. I love it. Great covers too. Do you have Oh, and the Hold My Shipping program. Let's talk about that because this is genius. Give everybody an idea what this is. Everybody should do this.
Yeah, so like Laurie said, I have a lot of plates in the air at one time, and that includes we're doing a minimum of 5 campaigns this year, maybe even squeeze in a 6th.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I said I agonize over shipping costs. I hate to see these backers, like I mentioned, we have 50 to 75 that come back. So I wanted to offer them the opportunity if they could wait a little bit longer for their books throughout the year, they could bundle them together. So all you have to do is select in the add-on section, hold my shipping, and then it rolls over to the next book. And then if you want, you just purchase that book as regular, or if you want to add the shipping again, you could add it. I'm sorry, hold the shipping again. You could go as many times as you want and then get a big package at the end of the year, save yourself some shipping. Only a few people have jumped on the opportunity, but again, I want to at least offer that to our loyal community. Of course, if you want your books right away after it's done,
Yeah.
we'll get them to you right away. But if you can wait a little longer, save yourself some money. We wanted to try that this year.
Has it been popular? Or? Only a few people? I'm just curious.
Only a few people. A couple I've
Yeah.
had to kind of reach out to. I think maybe they didn't scroll down or they didn't after they picked their selection. I said, hey, you backed CPS. You want me to hold it? And they're like, oh yeah. And so you try to do it. Remind them that it's there and save them a couple dollars.
Yeah. That's the thing is, yeah, when it's something different that's not typical, sometimes people forget that it's
Yeah,
there.
I probably should have put it in like each tier thing, but it is the first add-on too, so you'll see it. It's $1
Okay.
to add it on. That
Yeah.
just adds the weight to the next book. And then as soon as the campaign's over, you get charged a Kickstarter. I'll refund you that day, and then you can roll it on to the next one, which we're doing a second launch of Drumsticks of Doom. If you didn't get that on the Zoop campaign, and then we should
Cool.
have Final Heist before the end of the year as well. Is our last book of the year. So yeah, I figured if it was a big year for us, we could try something different for the fans.
I only laugh because it's like, again, people that are so organized where they were like, hey, we're gonna do drumsticks of doom, we're gonna do LCS, we're gonna do another drumsticks of doom, we're gonna do the final heist and then CPS all in 1 year. And it's like, if you have enough brain power to plan all that out, then I'm amazed because people are like, when's your next Kickstarter, Laurie? And I'm like, in the fall.
Someday.
I don't know yet. So that's amazing to me, that
and
you can not only do that and then offer some savings on shipping to everybody. That's great.
I appreciate that. One was a
Mhm.
trade paperback, so that just required, collecting it together and doing the campaign. So only
Yeah.
4 brand new books and, a convention that we
A
decided
5
to do that we'll talk
campaign.
about later.
Yeah, but that's a lot of planning, people. That's a lot of planning. That's a ton. Are you planned into 2025 already, John? I'm just curious.
Yep, we're already
Yep.
rolling into
Mhm.
2025. We have scripts already in the works for Drumsticks of Doom is continuing on, CPS is continuing on, and hopefully LCS. So
Oh
2025 right around the corner.
my gosh. No, I don't want to think about that. Glenn. Hello, Glenn. People are like, "Oh, it's time to start planning for Christmas." And I'm like, "Can you come closer so I can slap you on the face? I'm not ready."
Let's get through Halloween first.
Gosh. But I mean, like, they had Halloween stuff up the week of 4th of July.
Oh, I know. I was joking about that. My daughter asks like every year. She's like, Halloween, 4th of July is over. The next holiday is Halloween, and she was right. She led the trend
Yeah.
because
And
now
then after
everybody's doing it.
Halloween, they put up Christmas.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
I mean, I think every day should be Halloween, but
Yeah, you and me both. Of course, I have to wait until Halloween is over, and that's when I go restock on things like fake blood and
good.
then I can go buy a bunch of it and people don't think I'm crazy, right? That's what happens.
Well, see, and
Um,
I do think that is one thing I lament about the earlier and earlier the Halloween sales get is the stores are now smart and they don't clearance the stuff. I used to
yeah.
love November 1st to go to Target and get all the stuff for 50% off, and then a week later, 75. Well, now they just keep it. They warehouse it because they know they're going to put it out, in a few
Mhm.
months. Like Spirit does that. They used to do awesome sales because they didn't want to
Yes.
box up all the stuff, and now they're wise to our games, and they don't do that as much.
That makes me not happy. All
Yep.
right, let's go shopping, everybody.
Shopping.
Woohoo! We got a backer. That's great. Let's
Ooh,
get
that is
some
great.
more.
Oh, close, close, close.
Yep. All right, so $4 gets you the PDF, so that's great. Wow, man, and I'm amazed by your backer count. This is a huge number. 149 backers is great.
Yeah, and when I posted, there was 5 days left. I believe we were at like 98 backers or something like that.
Wow.
So we've had an amazing surge at the end. I was getting a little blue there. This was a quicker campaign. It was 3 weeks. We have so many to fit in this year that I
Yeah.
shortened it. And maybe with an issue 1, that was a little bit of a misstep. Give time for people to hear about it. But wow, I mean, over 50 backers in the last week so far. Like, yeah, we almost always well, actually, every part-time comics has cracked 100. Most crack 150. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, you feel good about that.
That's my goal is to get to 150 at some point. We've gotten to like 140, I think was our highest, but we haven't been able to crack that 150 yet.
It's solid.
Um,
Only 3 times I think I've cracked 200, and I know
wow.
once you can get into that 250, 300,
Yeah,
you're rolling. But I
yeah.
mean, again, I've been at it 15 years, and still that's a high number. But yeah, I mean, for a
Yeah.
brand new book to almost be at 150 and
That's
likely
great.
over by the end, I think Winston and I are very happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of your backers show up at the end. I'm always watching part-time comics and like you're like, hey everybody, and they're like, oh yeah, no, here we come. And then they show up at the end and it's like, can you guys show up at the beginning and maybe spare John a few gray hairs? Because
And I
we-
won't say that I don't privately curse about that because it is funny, but it's partly my fault. I'm kind of perpetually putting stuff out, so I know that not everybody's going to be able to come back every time or see it, because they're kind of like, they probably got me on mute at this point because they're like, John, you're just constantly. But I got to get these books out there.
Yeah.
I'm the meteor is coming,
Yes, we only got 5 years. We gotta tell all of our stories before we all blow up.
and maybe we don't expressly say what happened, but maybe that's what happened in this
Maybe this
LCS.
is
Maybe the
why.
meteor hit. You got to read it
Yes.
and find out.
Mm.
And why were these group of survivors able to survive in this wasteland? That's always the interesting part.
Dun, dun, dun.
I had a conversation on another show where they kind of read my pitch and they were like, yeah, John, it sounds interesting, but I think you leave it a little bit short. Like, what are the characters' motivations and why are they there and what are they doing? And I don't know how you feel about that as an author. I maybe just kind of purposely sell it short because I think you want to look into that, right? Don't you want to crack the book and find out?
Yeah.
So I don't always add those, 1 or 2 paragraphs to the Kickstarter saying the main
This
character
is
Cole
why.
is like this and this
Yeah.
is why he likes this. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of burying the lead to me, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it.
No, I think that with this story specifically, you just got to get in there because there's a time jump, especially. So you're reading the beginning and then you're in it and you're like, what the heck happened? And so there's that question of how we got here that needs to be answered. So
I'll
I think,
tell you how
hey,
we got here.
Pops popped in.
We got
Welcome,
here
sir. How
very
are you?
poorly with a lot of pain.
Oh, that
Oh.
hurt. All right, I got to tell a
Careful,
little
sorry.
story and then I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah. I was like, do you need to go lay down?
Yeah, I do. I got in the car and headed to the doctor's office this morning, and right after we got in the car, there was a tornado warning.
Oh, great.
So I looked to see, well, where's the tornado warning at? Well, it's right where we're going,
Mm-hmm.
of course, right? So I got to bond with this really nice black lady driver that drove me up there and back. She was cool as hell. But we were like, watching the weather deteriorate as we're driving toward Grand Rapids. My son's sister's house got hit. He's over there right now. They're over there right now. I guess the roof got pulled off the house. So
Oh shit.
how much fun can this next couple weeks be for us, right? It's one thing after another, people. You got to have faith that we're going to get through it, no matter what it is.
Are you sure? Or maybe we should be praying
So
for
I get
this
there.
meteor to come.
So I get there, and you remember when I showed you the picture when I was in the hospital and I had the big ass tube in my nose and everything? They tried to put a little teeny tiny tube in my nose today and lit my head on fire. I feel like I got hit with a fucking baseball bat.
What did they do?
They just tried to put a tube in my nose to go down. They wanted to take pictures while the dye was flowing or whatever.
Yeah.
To see where the liquid goes when I swallow, right? Because my stomach's fucked up, So basically, though, it hurt so bad. They tried both nostrils. And this is a little teeny tiny tube, not like that big giant thing I had in the hospital. That didn't hurt at all compared to this.
What the heck?
Big giant one that they put in my nose at the hospital. Yeah, it was uncomfortable. It hurt for a couple minutes while they were doing it. This was like somebody was drilling into my head. It was horrible.
Okay.
And we couldn't do the procedure because,
Too painful.
I'm not built for that kind of fucking pain. I got a pretty high pain tolerance. I ain't built for that. Like I said, right now, 3 hours later, I feel like somebody hit me in the head with a fucking bat.
Yeah, if the sinuses close up, it's hard to force its way through,
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. They didn't check to see if I was clear. They just started slopping some Lanacaine on the thing and jamming it in my nose, So I'm gonna go lay down. Hopefully when I wake up, it won't hurt as much. But I just wanted to pop in and say hi to everybody. I made it through the tornado and the fucking hospital all in one morning. So
You did it.
Fun times.
Thanks everybody. Thanks Dustin for posting this up for me, sharing it out, like, because usually I do that. But any groups that's not getting the Tuesday morning brew this morning, I'm sorry. I just ain't done my share out. You'll have to deal. You'll have to cope. You'll have to find Laurie wherever you can find her. Right?
Yeah, man. Subscribe.
That's the best way to get notified.
Feel better, Pops.
Click
Yeah.
that bell icon.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then, of course, I haven't had anything to eat or drink since 8 o'clock last night. Well,
dude, go
so
take
then
care of it.
And as I'm leaving, she's like, "Oh, and don't forget, you can't have anything hot for 2 hours."
Hot.
Because of the dye?
Because of the lanacane or whatever.
Okay.
Whatever.
Oh, because you can't feel it.
I'm like, so wait a minute. I'm all happy that I'm allowed to leave and fill my stomach, but there's even restrictions on that.
Well, they don't want you to burn yourself because you can't feel how hot the food is. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's oatmeal. It's
I'm gonna feel how hot it is on my tongue before it ever goes down my throat.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I can handle it. I can handle it. It just, man, it was just, and I got to go back on the 16th, but at least they put me under that time, so they'll be able to do what they need to do. But yeah, that's the most pain I felt in a long time. That was horrible.
I'm sorry.
Hang in there, Pops. What a drag it is getting old.
Dude, I'm telling you. You just wait. You don't even know yet. I'm gonna be 61 next year here in a couple of weeks. So
yeah, September 2nd.
September 2nd, Monday Madness is going to be a party. It's not going to be a show where I get guests and we talk about their books. You can still come out and talk about your books, but I want everybody to come out, hang out for a little while, say hi, and show your appreciation for what we do.
Is that Labor Day Monday?
It is Labor. I was born on Labor Day. Yes.
All right. I was going to say, I'm like, because my kids are back to school, but they'll be off that day, so that will help.
You made your mother labor on Labor Day.
Dude, she doesn't never let me forget it either. Labor all day with you. But yeah, it doesn't fall on Labor Day every year, so this is kind of one of the special years.
Yeah.
On Labor Day, so we're gonna have a party. Y'all get back to it.
All right. Go feel better. Go rest.
Back John's book. Just do it. Just do it.
I know. It's almost there, everybody. We need a couple more. A few more backers will get us there. So I got, and this one doesn't have a picture, but this is the one that I backed, was the variant cover, this one. So $18 gets you this bad boy. $7 gets you the book, right?
Actually.
Am I saying it wrong?
Oh,
hold on.
Yours went to the bottom because you backed it. So it's $12 for the variant, $18 for both. So you save.
Oh, okay. I was like, where did it go?
Yeah, once you back it, it like pushes it to the bottom and says.
Gotcha. I was like, I'm confused. But yeah, so 18 gets you both covers, and then 55 gets you the real metal glow in the dark cover.
Yeah, only a few left. We just did a small run because they are insanely expensive to print, but they are so worth it. If you're a collector, they will be incredibly limited numbers.
Yeah. Out of 5. That's amazing. All the LCS stuff, get both the covers, the black metal light cover, the black light cover. I can't talk today, John. I need more caffeine. The sticker and the cover magnet. Save $7. Nice.
Save some bucks. Yeah. Get that bundle. Get everything LCS.
Here's the early bird deal.
Yeah. So we usually do an early bird bundle of all our books. So only one person now has the chance to back that tier. So once the 3 are gone, we usually do 2 or 3, get all of our books for a huge savings if you're behind, which is an amazing feeling, right? Like,
yeah,
you have a dozen or so books out, and then somebody who's never backed before is like, I'll take them all. It's like, wow.
Like, dang, I'm sign me up for one of each of everything that you have. That's a great feeling. That's awesome.
It is. And then we've got some original art, some great prices on inked. These are fully inked 11 by 17 pages. We're starting with the first 2 that are shown in the campaign, as not to spoil the rest of the book.
Yeah.
So if you like those pages that were up at the top, they're up for grabs. if you want to contact us
That'd be cool.
privately and secure a page after you read it or something, we'd be willing to do that as well. But I didn't want to, put too many spoilers up there. It's only a 20-page book.
They're like, hey, do you want the last page? Here it is.
And then there's Ray's Amazing Inks for Inks cover.
So cool.
Get it before it goes on my wall.
And then all gone. Here's all the things that are gone, everybody. So yeah, there's lots on here. So everybody should just hop on over.
Yeah,
and let's take this one
you
across
said,
the finish line.
there's add-ons. I know people don't always do the add-ons after they choose their tier, but we have bundles of child possession services, bulletproof chicken. There's a sticker, there's a magnet, there's all kinds of stuff you can add on there at the end.
Holy smokes. Not as many as Carissa Grant, but this is the healthy amount of add-ons.
and part of that, is just the time it takes to put them all in.
Yeah.
And now it sounds like they've improved that in the future. So future campaigns, I can kind of import the other add-ons and not have to
You
do
can?
them all. Yeah, they've just started rolling that out.
Okay, because I know they were doing that for rewards, but I wasn't sure about the
Oh,
add-ons.
I could have it backwards then. I could just be rewards. Darn.
I don't know.
The add-ons would be extremely helpful because it's like, now at this point, like I said, I have 15 books, so to list each one or each variant,
Oh my gosh.
takes.
Yeah.
Again, and sometimes like this, you're just like, all right, roll with what we got because I can't sit here all day entering each one.
Yeah, I feel you on that 100. It's so much work just to put all the information in because you have to create the item, you have to put in a picture, and then you have to create the reward tier with the items. You know what I mean? So it's like if it's one by itself, then it's just double the work. And then I messed up the late pledges on my last campaign.
Oh,
this
will be our first one with it, so I'm wondering if I messed up.
I don't think so because they're there. See, how I messed it up is I enabled the late pledges, but I told it that it would. I thought I was telling it the price that would start after the campaign ended, and what I had clicked was these tiers start when the campaign ends. So I launched and like half of my tiers disappeared.
Oh, geez.
Because they start after the campaign ends.
Geez.
And so I had, while we were live streaming the launch party, I was like, you guys need to, thank God there was more people than just myself because Pops was there, like Gilbert, my artist, was there. I was like, can you guys chat for a second while I go recreate all of these tiers? So I had to go, but I could have just changed them after I fixed it all. I was like, there was an easier way to do it, but I feel like every time they do something new, there's a way for me to mess it up.
Yep. It takes some time. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
We're all,
Well, they had just started it like
owners trying to do it all,
Yeah. And I had everything in there and it was ready to launch. And then they like activated the late pledges, I think like 2 or 3 days prior to my launch. So I'd already, you know what I mean? Like it was already in there. And then I had to go monkey around with it after the fact. And then it's just like, I didn't do it right. Whatever. Nick, I don't know what this is. Hello, Nick. Not sure what this is. 5K. Not sure. Anywho, that's this campaign, everybody. I already dropped the link in there, but I'm going to go drop it again. Go check out LCS. If you like the apocalypse and you like comic books, like all of us,
this might just be in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it might just be what you're looking for. So here it is. Here's the linky loo. It's everywhere. Please
Thank
go
you
check it out.
again. And Laurie is one of the few, the proud that got to read it early. There, I feel like part of the hook of this series is there is a big twist into why the survivors survive. I don't want to give that away, so that's part of why I didn't.
There's 2 twists.
Yeah,
because really there's a twist about the apocalypse, and then the last page is like, totally. Why? Okay, now I need the next one. You know what I mean?
Another reviewer for Fueled by Weird, Chris Daly, read it as well, and he kept talking about the end. I'm like, well, what did you think about the first twist? He's like, oh yeah, that was still good. I didn't think the secondary one, even though I thought it was like a good page turn hook, but so some of that is, again, I don't want to give it away too much, but there is a reason why these group of survivors survived, and I hope that people find that interesting.
It very much is, and I have I can't wait for the second half because I need to know more. Because even though you give us the answer, it's like, but why? But why? Need to know more. So Very excited. Yeah, good luck on the rest of the campaign. 32 hours to go, guys. Jump on it. Go back this so we can get it across
Yeah.
the finish line, like I said.
And like many guests, like myself, have said before, we understand times are tough. People are getting their bunkers ready for the meteor. Not everybody can afford it, but the shares really do help. Even if you feel like you only have 2 followers, that's 2 followers that probably didn't see it on my social
Mm.
media. So hit that share button if you see it bouncing around. Though that really, really, really helps, especially as we reach the 24-hour mark very soon here.
Oh my gosh. Isn't that crazy? It's always crazy to me when it flips from days to hours. Even though it's like 2 days or 3 days left, it flips to hours and you're like, I'm not prepared. And then it goes from hours to minutes and you're like, I am also not prepared. Like,
And I'll tell you, I've done a couple of 24-day ones, and I think that's kind of the
mhm,
sweet spot. Cuts out
mm,
some of the slower days. But doing this is my shortest one ever, 21 days,
one-
and I didn't think it would make a difference. But then there's like, I had to take my kid camping one weekend for Cub Scouts, and then I volunteered to help on a weekend, and we went to the water park one day, and then all of a sudden, you realize how quickly those days, that maybe having a longer campaign, you can kind of have those days where you're not as focused on it. When
yeah.
it's a short one, it's over before you know it, and that will probably influence my uh, selection of number of days in the future.
I'm actually going to talk about that tonight because I'm going on a show with JD Calderon and Rob Multari. Multari? Did I say his
Mhm.
name right? In their show, it's comic workshopping. So we're going to talk about Kickstarter issues. And my thing is how do you plan how many days? Like, because to maximize, your viewage, but also to cut down on that valley of death because we get caught in this plateau and we always try to brainstorm ideas of how to deal with that plateau, but the ideal is just to get rid of the plateau, right? Um, and I was thinking too, um, it depends on the holidays. It depends on the day that when you're doing, because I did a 22-day campaign, but also the 4th of July was in there.
Mm,
So it was actually it was shorter than 22 days because no one was paying attention. Like
mhm,
there's also the debate. Like no one was paying attention
mhm.
to us during the debate. No
Right.
one was paying attention to us for the 4th of July. And I think Memorial Day, June, no, something happened.
That
There
would
was
have been May.
another one in June. There was something that happened in June that was again like no one was paying attention. So it was like 3 less days. So really it was like 19 days.
Yeah, and part-time comics, we usually get it. We rarely have a zero backer day. We usually get one or
Yeah.
two, even if it's just a digital. So like our mutual friend Timothy Fling, like he does 45-day campaigns. You just kind of give it time. But then there's that discussion about, do you give them more time to back out? So it's always a struggle to figure out that sweet spot. I do think for newer campaigns, I would probably go with a longer one in the future. For
Hmm.
tried and true properties like Drumsticks of Doom, I can probably cut a week off there because people are going to back it if they want it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't like doing the 30-day. I think it's just difficult when you have a lot of plates in the air, to focus on other things, because it just always takes your mind towards, refreshing or making sure or answering questions in the Kickstarter. So I
Yeah.
do think cutting some time off is good for my mental health at least, but everybody's mileage will vary.
Right. And I think the other thing that matters is if your project is complete or not. Like LCS, the book is already done.
Hmm.
Yes, you need the funding, but the book is already done. For me, I need the money a lot of times to continue to work on the project. So when I do a 45-day and then you tack on an extra 2 weeks to get the money, you see what I mean? Then it just pushes out when you get that funding so that way your artist can get back to work a lot longer. So Tim, hey Tim,
Speak of the
was just
devil, and he
thinking
shall
about
appear.
you. Yeah,
He says 38 is the sweet spot.
38 is the sweet spot. Interesting. Hmm.
There's a behavioral study that in animals with chickens, and if you give them feed every time they hit this button and feed comes out, they hit the button, right? They learn that. But if
Yeah.
you randomize what happens when they get the feed, they will start to think in their head that it was something they did. So if they flap their wings, they'll flap their wings before they hit the button, thinking that's what it did. And human beings were the same way, right? If
Yeah.
something was successful, we'll be like, it
Or
worked.
do it
That must
again.
be the way. And so
Yeah.
we're the same way.
But it's not necessarily, there's so many factors that
Exactly.
change
That
from
you cannot
campaign to
control.
campaign.
And yes, campaigns, the world, Kickstarter, social media. There's a
Yeah.
billion factors we can't control. So we love to have these conversations, but really it's all just rolling the dice and see what happens, right?
Yeah, but we still talk to ourselves. We gotta
Yep.
plan in advance. We gotta
Yep.
start promoting. Gotta plan something for that plateau. Gotta be on all
Yep.
these shows. Gotta promote.
Yep.
Oh,
We're
good.
all just flapping our
Welcome
wings at
home.
the chicken feed, trying to get
That's
it to
what we're
feed us
doing.
the corn.
What were you doing in New York, Tim? That's interesting. Have to let us know. Let's talk about this other thing that you have going on. I don't know anything about this, John. What is ICE? So I mean, from reading this, the Second Indie Comic Expo is a convention, party, and hangout for comic creators with food, drink, and live music, September 26th in Chicago. So we are raising funds to do a Comic-Con.
We are. I wasn't busy enough, so I said to myself, "What can I do to completely take all my free time away?" No, I was trying to plan this for a while. We've talked about this. Some of my closest friends and comic creators, we put on a convention about a decade ago,
Mm-hmm.
Indie Comics Expo 1, and we plan to do it every year, but life gets away from you sometimes. We talked about it every year, kind of half jokingly. It didn't go very well, to be honest with you. It went great as far as I think it was a great show. We had performers like Adam Warrock and Mega Ran performed. We had awesome creators. Everybody said it was great, but financially, it was a little bit of a failure. So
Gotcha.
when that happens, it makes you hesitant to do it again. But
Yeah.
again, you get older, you feel like the crypt keeper's coming for you. You're like, you know what? We got to do this. But really, honestly, since COVID, the mid-level shows in the Chicago area have been few and far between. The ones that they do have I feel like, are overpriced for creators. They
Mm-hmm.
don't focus on the indie scene. They sometimes
Mm-hmm.
mix other things in there to kind of, you know, get attendance, which I get. And the larger shows are just completely out of everyone's price range at this point.
Yeah.
So, they say if you see something that's missing, you have to sometimes do it
Provide it.
yourself, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? We've already done it. Let's give it another go. So I actually started planning it last year, and I'll tell you, it was very difficult to secure a venue. It took me well into 2024. So this year's, I think, is on a little bit of a shorter time frame than I wanted it to be. But I said, you know what? Again, this is something I want to do for the community. I mean, for myself as well. I mean, it obviously promotes the business. It shows, we're part of the scene in Chicago. But I have so many amazing peers in the Chicagoland area. I just want to be part of that scene. We have another very good independent convention called Cake, which is actually next weekend. But again, I want to be part of that as well. So thankfully, the first venue that we worked with 10 years ago almost, Reggie's
Oh my
Rock
God.
Club, agreed to work with us again. They gave us a very affordable price on renting the space. So you'd be surprised how easily a concert hall can be switched into a comic convention hall. So
Cool.
yeah, there's going to be about 14 creators. Dan Doherty, his band, is going to be playing live as well. And really, this Kickstarter just helps us know that there's people interested. We know what our budget's going to be for the show. It helps us with advertising. Uh, we want to keep table costs low for the creators. I want to pay Dan's band for performing. So
Yeah.
it helps with all those things. So really, it's kind of a different type of Kickstarter. It's more like a ticket pre-sale, but you get some extras here. We have great items that the creators have donated. You get early entry to the convention, and we're treating it more like an intimate small show. You should have time to talk to the creators. You're not rushing around because there's 40,000 people in the convention center.
Yeah.
You get a built-in right at as soon as the show ends at 9. Dan's band's going to perform for the last hour of the show, so it's kind of all built in. Reggie just has great food, great drinks. So we kind of wanted it all in one place, and thankfully
Nice.
Reggie's in Chicago is able to support that.
Are you from Chicago, John?
I am born and raised in the Chicago suburbs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
Nice.
live about 30 minutes outside the city now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so again, when you see that void in the community, sometimes you gotta pick up
Step up.
pick it up and do it yourself.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, but again, my good friends Ray Rugner and Jason Ford are helping me. Dan Doherty is helping me. He's helped me secure great guests like Mike Norton and Jim Terry, who are our featured guests and are amazing creators in the Chicago scene. So we're happy to have them there. There's a stage there, so we may do some interviews and short conversations with them as well. So we're kind of, again, trying to make it all in one thing.
Cool.
And again,
That's
just
awesome.
like with other things, we understand not everybody can support. Not everybody's going to be in and around the Chicago area on 9/26. But if you can share it out, that really does help. Maybe
Cool.
somebody on your friends list is from Chicago, or you want to tag them in a post and say, hey, you might be interested in this. All that helps. We got t-shirts, we got magnets, we got bottle openers with our logo on it. So we got all kinds of fun stuff you can do. And, every dollar goes towards making a better campaign or a better convention this time.
This is what I was talking about earlier, guys, about John making lizards with too many legs.
And I actually drew that lizard with too many legs.
It's amazing. I was like, this is your signature. That's awesome.
I dusted off my my pens and gave it a shot. So yeah, I don't often do that, but yeah, you can get some original art from me in this campaign.
Oh my gosh. What is his name? Octa something?
Argyle, the Arachnigator.
The Arachnigator. That's messed up. But
We
so
got some
cute.
Drumsticks of Doom swag you can get.
Yeah, check
at
it
good
out, man.
prices. Dan and I will do a remark sketch in the Drumsticks of Doom trade paperback. If you haven't gotten that, he'll give you a cool sketch for
Cool.
supporting the show. Yeah, and again, it's a little bit different than some campaigns where, again, it's more like a pre-sale to see how much interest we have, what our budget can be for the show, and how we can make it better. So this is one that I'm not pounding the drums on as much, just trying to get the word out. So I appreciate you I talking to me about two different things at once.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I always know that you're doing comics and I see you promoting your comics and we talk about them and stuff, but this is the first time I've heard you doing a con. So I was like, tell me about this, man. This is cool. You got t-shirts and tickets too. There's combos. So you can get, look, ticket and t-shirt. So, or you can get just shirts up here.
Yep. So part of the thing is that, again, if you're not able to come to the show, your ticket price is built into each tier. So
Okay.
if you're not coming to the show, then that's just your shipping costs, right? So just know that backing, there is no shipping fees for this. So if you are one of the people, like we've already had a couple jump in from out of state that just wanted to support, we'll send with the survey afterwards if you'd like your item shipped. Otherwise, you pick it up at the show and then
That's cool.
obviously at your entry. And again, this is the only way to get into the convention early, to have some time to see the creators, get some great products, check it out an hour before the regular entrance, the lowly regular entrance get in.
Right. What's
The peasants.
this? Cretaceous #1 remark?
Yeah, so one of our
I know
creators.
it's blind, but still, I was like, there's a dinosaur on here. Tell
too
me about
bad.
it.
Maybe I can have Marcus on. Marcus on Naso is the creator of such great books as By the Horns and Cretaceous. As you see here, he donated an awesome full double page spread remarked edition of his book. Unfortunately, sold out, but I will be asking him, since it went so quick, if there's another one he wants to give to the campaign. But that was really nice of him to throw that in.
This says you're gonna make one hell of a breaded steak sandwich. He's looking at the dinosaur. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's amazing. Touching Evil box set. These are gone, everybody. I just wanted to see some of the cool stuff that was on here.
Sorry that
No.
I feel bad
That's
sometimes
okay.
that it shows the people what they missed out on, right? But
Sorry.
you
Should've
gotta
been
act quick with these
quicker.
things. Yeah. And we're going to continue. So even if you don't see something now, follow the campaign. We'll be checking in every week. People are sending me, cool items that they want to add. So it's really cool. And again, it's about community. I personally invited, all the creators. Dan Doherty and I reached out to them personally because we want to champion them and all the great work that they do. So I feel like that's a different experience than you're going to get at a large con where everyone's, paying hundreds of dollars. People want to be part of the show. They want to contribute and see it successful. So I think that's going to make it feel a lot different.
Yeah. That's cool. I've never seen it run that way before. So
yeah,
we
did it 9 years ago. We may have been one of the first, maybe one of the only, but they do allow you to do live events on Kickstarter. So
That's
if
nice.
anyone's ever considering, yeah, we did very well the last time. You know, it helped us get some of the show costs taken care of, and hopefully we can do the same this time.
Mhm. Like, so what's coming up after all these things? Oh my gosh, John.
I don't know. I don't know if I'll make it through. Maybe on 9/27 I won't be part of this earth anymore. I'll be burned out. But we've got so much coming out. We just got in the mail DPS, Possessed and Confused, all
Wait,
3 awesome
wait a
covers.
second. Wait. Dun, 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 dun,
Oh, and
dun.
and live on the air. Oh my goodness.
Congrats,
You
man.
did
You
it.
funded.
They were like, I'm sick of hearing this guy talk. Just be funded already.
No. No, it crossed the finish line. Yay! That makes me so happy.
Yay.
Yeah.
Ooh, and a big pledge. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I don't just in case somebody doesn't want their name said on air. I won't say who
Yeah.
it was, but you
Yeah.
know who you were if you're listening still. Thank you so much. That's really cool to cross the finish line live on the air. It doesn't happen often.
That's right. It's right.
But you
Half
see,
the time I'm like, does that say we're funded? Like,
I know you got. I just refreshed it a couple times just to make sure.
yeah, you're like, make sure.
It still says 100%. It still
Yeah.
says 100%.
I was like, wait, that says funded. Wait, come back. I was like, let me put this up.
And
So
as
what were you showing us, real quick?
oh, what I was showing you was
Yeah.
Child Possession Services. The 3rd issue is also here. So amongst putting on a
Ooh.
convention, 2 Kickstarters simultaneously, I also am fulfilling a campaign. That's about 75% shipped. So if you did back that, no worries. It is
Oh my
coming.
gosh.
It will be there, except for the people, of course, I've reached out to hold, because LCS will be here in a couple weeks. It looks like, thanks to you all.
Amazing. I was just laughing because in the show description, I put that John Westhoff was one of the hardest working people in the business. And every time you come on, you prove me right, where I'm like, what are you doing next? And you're like, well, I got about these 12 things I have planned, and I'm doing these 3 things at the same time. So
You confuse hard work with highly stupid.
no.
I'm just, I don't know. I'm just that's the kind of person I am. I like to have multiple things going at once. It's exciting. Then you're always having art come in, and things are coming in the mail.
Yeah. But then you're always broke too, man.
Yeah, that's true. I know I shouldn't say this live on air, but I did take out a 0 interest credit cards to make sure that I could secure the Argyle Stuffy,
Yep.
which is also on its way. Gotta bet on
Yeah.
yourself some years, right?
Yep, you got to. Hopefully that 0% lasts you for a year.
Yeah. And then hopefully by next year I'll be like, do I have the money to pay it off?
I
Nah,
know.
it'll work out.
Damn it.
It'll work out.
What was I going to ask you? Oh, it just went out of my head.
Well, I will say,
Oh,
as
no, I
you
wanted to
know,
ask you about Final
okay.
Heist, but say your thing and then I ask my
we can
question.
talk about that.
Yeah.
As a lot of people who view your show will know, minimum funding is what it is. It's minimum funding. We of course have a lot bigger goals for LCS.
Yes.
You can help us get a bit bigger print one, which can help me provide more issues for my co-creators and myself to sell at conventions and all that stuff. So minimum funding is not the end, of course.
No,
but
let's get a buffer because and again, a lot of times when everything settles, some of those credit cards fall off. They don't go through.
Yeah, not to be a
So-
downer, but most campaigns, at least a few people fall off, and that that stings a little. So a little bit of a cushion here. We'd really appreciate. Continue that sharing, but thank you for getting us over the line. 150 backers strong. I cannot complain.
That's great. That's a great number. We need at least 10 more in the next 31 hours.
And I'll be honest, I usually budget the minimum funding at about 150 backers.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was about 3,000.
Yeah.
But you never honestly know what your minimum your average backer dollar is going to be, right?
Right.
So this one we had an insane amount of digital backers, which is great. That's no overhead costs. You can get it out to them. But that's something I didn't plan for. I didn't think people would be so into the book digitally. You just never know. So that's why it's been a little bit of a harder road to the top for this one. Thought I set the mark, where I wanted it to be, thinking it'll average around, $15 to $20. But no ill will towards anybody. Digital backers keep us going for sure.
Right.
And
right.
CPS was kind of the same last time, so that might be something I need to take into account. That times are tough. People are switching to digital. They're tired of paying for shipping, whatever it is.
Yeah, shipping.
Got to be
Shipping just
prepared.
went up again.
I know.
And printing charge.
And
Both
printing.
both just went up, everybody.
And I was going
Just
to
so
ask
you're
you, I
aware.
don't know if you want to say on air. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations for printers? Because I think I've just got priced out by mine.
I don't. I'm still shopping. I'm
Yeah.
shopping.
I'm back to shopping, and it's been a while. I've been pretty happy for a while, and it's just a bummer right before I print something to be like, again, it just went up. I just
You
went
know,
up when I printed CPS 2 months
I
ago.
know, and it's like I had 3 different print jobs going at the same time with 3 different printers.
Mm,
And then we ran our campaign, and it was like the last 2 days of campaign, and then they announced like shipping was going up and that prices were going up for printing. And I was like, there's
yeah.
nothing I can do about it now. There's nothing, you know what I mean? Because it's been running for however many days, so it's not like you
Yep.
can fix it.
I've been hit
Um,
with the shipping rate bug at least 3 times in the last year. It's like
yeah,
that's the trouble with running so many, right? You can't really catch your breath and recollect, but it is what it is.
right. Having Peter to pay Paul, stealing from Peter to pay Paul, something like that. You're collecting and then shipping
Yep.
up the other ones, and then yeah.
Yep. But at the same time, it's a good problem to have, and I do appreciate it. We've got some other shows coming up this summer, including Ice.
Mm.
So we're starting to hit the convention scene harder. So I
Yeah.
think that will help our back end. We won't have to rely as much on Kickstarters. I had a couple great shops pick up trades of Drumsticks of Doom, so that's going to help.
That's great.
It's all building on itself. I'm very happy with where we're at.
I feel like I need to do more shows, but then I also feel like I need to invest in my my table merchandising, and I haven't gotten a banner yet. Like I need a banner.
Yeah,
Um
I only have a
so
small banner, but yeah, there's a different investment, and it's your time. It's just
yeah.
like the Kickstarter days we talked about. You have to balance. Yes, I could be at the convention to make $250, but I also was there 10 hours and I wasn't at home, or I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I wasn't creating. So sometimes I do feel like people go a little bit too hard into the conventions and don't realize that your time is the ultimate resource.
Yes.
So if you're spending all your time traveling and at a show or at a hotel, you might want to rethink that as well. But I definitely do. I do think I need more of a presence
Yeah,
than I've
and I
had.
think I want to start just doing local. You know what I mean? Like if I can cut out the hotel charge, that's huge because it doubles your table fee, you know?
Absolutely. We do well at the small and mid shows, and those are the ones, where the table costs us, under $75 or around there. You can usually make or
So that's
double your
cheap.
table, meet some great people locally, and then they kind of see you at the other shows and you start to see them come back. So I that's definitely where we are. We don't do the shows that are more than $300 for a table.
Yeah.
We won't. It'll be a waste of our time,
Yeah, I
I
feel like
would
we
rather
have to
take that
kind of work
money.
up to that. But I think you have enough inventory. A book wise, maybe you just I don't know what your merch looks like. I know I have some merch, but I don't think I don't know. I think there's a whole class I could probably take from somebody about how to set up your table and what percentage of books and merch and what should you bring with you and
Well, I think
you know what I
you're
mean?
already at the key step, and I do think part of the reason I've been hesitant is you have to have at least one trade paperback on your table.
Yes.
You have to have you can have a hardcover and stuff like that will probably do well, but if you have one reasonably priced collected edition, that just if we sell
Changes the game.
4 Drumsticks of Doom in a weekend, we're already halfway there. So I just think people like those kind of things. The casual reader loves the big fat books,
Mhm.
and the single issues not as much. So we've had trouble. Meat and table costs with a $6 floppy is really hard, especially
Yes.
when it costs so much now to print a single issue short run. So
Gosh,
it's almost not even worth it. But
I don't
I'd
even
also
know if
rather,
you can
I like instead of doing C2E2, maybe I take that $450 table fee and just put it in the Facebook ads or something. If I'm going to flush money down the toilet, maybe I want to actually see some, return of
I
investment.
don't
I
know
don't
about
know.
Facebook ads. I've
Well,
gotten
that's what I'm
0 from
throwing out there.
Facebook ads, but find some other ad. Like I've heard Tim was in the chat and he said something about Google ads. I haven't tried Google ads yet. Speaking of
Yeah,
Tim, time is the greater money. This is the truth. Um,
for sure.
yeah. Oh, someone says their current printer, hero and villain out of Arizona. There's a ton
Oh.
of really good printers in Arizona, I
And
hear.
thanks, Katie. I've used them for stickers before, and I definitely know other people that have used them. So that's definitely one I need to get back on my radar and actually print a
Trade
book with.
And hi, Katie. I love you.
I'm gonna send them an email.
By the
right
way.
now. Although
Uh,
I did hear that their website was down, so I'm gonna look them up right now before I forget.
oh, hero and villain. I'll have to go look.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's hard. It's like you got to find a good printer and stick with them. And printing, I think, is where I have my most frustrations. I've been happy with some of them, but they're expensive. The mid-price ones seem to disappear.
Yep.
I've had that with like timing where everything is done and I'm just waiting for the printer. And it's like some of them you have to follow up with and you have to stay on top of them. Like, hey, I was supposed to get my proof by now. Oh, it's here it is. And it magically appears. And it's like, if so you're not doing your job, I'm doing your job. Okay. So it is what it is. I don't think it's like construction, like contractors, they're notorious for always being late. It's just part of that business, I think.
Yeah. Right. It doesn't look like Hero and Villain's site is up still, and I haven't seen them
no.
post on Facebook in about a year. So I wonder if they
Katie,
wonder
do
how
you have a
recently Katie
contact?
has ordered.
Yeah, if you have a contact, you can send it to my DMs and I'll forward it to John if you're not friends with John.
I see their email, hero and villains designs at gmail.com. We'll try them again.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just, not able to keep the website up.
That
Sometimes
happens.
those can be the best contacts, those kind of,
Mhm.
like Edward Davis hooked me up with somebody. His cousin does keychains at an amazing price and super high quality and way cooler than, you'd get at like Sticker Mule and stuff. Sometimes you
Yeah.
find those kind of mom and pop,
Yeah.
just like us, that are, that do these awesome products,
Yeah, that's how I found my t-shirt lady. She does that part-time and she works with my editor.
Nice.
And I was just like, "Oh." My editor was like, "My coworker does t-shirts." And I'm like, "Introduce me."
Yeah. Awesome.
And I've had great success with her. Hey, see? So,
Oh, there you
but
go.
yeah, but I feel bad. Like she does great work. And if anybody would love great t-shirts, I recommend Taylor Hicks. I just recently purchased a t-shirt press though, John. Remember we were
Oh,
talking about that.
now we're gonna be
So
going to you.
I'm gonna be doing my own t-shirts. Let me get a few under my belt just
Sure.
to make sure I know what I'm doing. But there is a few like I 3D print, and I just learned how to laser print, like laser engrave. So
Oh
I am
man.
leveling up on my merch so I can do it myself. We'll see. I don't know. I'm hands-on with a lot of my things, so
So
you know,
Carissa might be the merch queen for
she
purchasing
is
all the merch, but now you are the merch czar because you actually make and
because I
control the
make the
merch.
things. Yeah, I make my own stickers. I make my own hot sauce. I 3D print things and paint them for the backers. T-shirt press. Oh, really? Now you can clean and press comic books.
Mm.
Press, yes. I don't know about clean. I don't know. Joffrey Cotton does that. I gotta pick his brain. We'll see. But yeah, the t-shirt press is pretty cool. I did puzzles. Did you see the puzzles I did, John?
I did. I saw
I got
your yeah.
sublimation puzzles. Sublimation stinks. Please do it
Yeah.
outside. I learned that the hard way. My husband's like, "Why does it smell like death in our house?" And I was like, "Well, I've been pressing these puzzles." He's like, "Outside."
Interesting.
Yeah. It's like,
Puzzles.
"Smells like death." Like, oh, good to know.
What does your garage look like?
Yeah,
T-shirt presses
seriously.
and puzzle makers and
I need like
hot sauce.
yeah, some of them are up here, some of them are downstairs. I have a Cricut, so I cut things with my Cricut. That's fun
Wow.
too. So,
I
but
was
the
thinking about
laser
getting a
engraver
button
is
maker. That might be as far as I go.
the button maker. I
Yeah.
ordered buttons. I'm not getting myself a button maker, I'll tell you that. But
Yeah. I've heard they
um
can be a bit not worth the pain.
yeah, I feel like it's a lot of repetitive motion. At
Yeah.
least with the Cricut, the 3D printer and the laser engraver, it does the work. You know what I mean? Like I go boop and it runs its thing. I don't have to actually like manually pull things to press the buttons. So the laser engraver I did not buy, by the way. No, I used it at a maker space. Those things are expensive. I don't got that money. Comics is good, but it's not that good.
It ain't that good, that's for sure.
It is. I know this isn't a real piano. This is not my real house. Comics is good, but it ain't this good, baby. Oh, so tell me about Final Heist. That's one I haven't heard of too. What's that one?
Oh yeah, so that hopefully will be our last book of the year. Although
Oh,
with Ice sneaking in here, we may push it off until 2025. But the plan for now is to do Final Heist, which is, of course, is plenty of heist movies out there,
hmm
but this one has a horror twist to it, as
oh,
the ragtag team of criminals gets thrown back together as they go into the oldest bank in the world in Italy, but there's more than old money lurking below the bank vaults.
is it
So,
vampires?
well, we'll have to read and find out.
Ah! It is Italian Crips, so that's where my mind goes.
And I'm working with co-writer Aaron Dowen, who's a mutual friend of ours,
Yes.
and we have great variant covers for it. But we're also working with an amazing Italian artist, Deborah Lancinisi, has signed on with us. She's
Nice.
done some other books for SourcePoint Press and some other. We said, you know what, we need to work with someone who's actually from Italy who can get the the feel right. So luckily,
Yeah,
she had time in her schedule. We have a few pages done already, and hopefully we'll be launching that in September.
that's exciting. How many pages is it planned for?
32. This is a big one shot.
Wow.
One shot comic. I should have mentioned that. Aaron and I kind of talked about it, and we were both agreed that we don't want to do a limited series, and it wasn't quite long enough of a story for a trade paperback. So we said, let's just do a fun one shot together.
That'll be fun.
I actually
That's
approached him to
exciting.
edit it because he's an editor, and he was like,
Mhm.
"No, I want in on this book." And I was like, "All right, you're in."
That's the best when you're like, "Here's my concept," and they're like, "Son of a bitch, I'm in." And you're like, "Wait, that's not what I was asking." He's like, "Too bad." Here.
Yeah, so I'm,
That's
I'm
really
very excited for that one. It's in early stages of production, so hopefully we can get enough to at least get it out there by the end of the year and see what people think.
That's exciting.
So yeah, so we got LCS now. The
Re-release
Ice
the Drumsticks
campaign will
of
be running for
Doom.
the next 1.5 months. We're gonna do a short re-release of Drumsticks of Doom on Kickstarter, because as you previously mentioned, we had a couple of failed credit cards with the Zoop,
Mhm.
and we need to recoup some of that money. And we have some loyal Kickstarter backers who I think are waiting for it there too. So, and then we're hoping to sneak in Final Heist, and then it's on to 2025.
Oh my gosh. I don't know how you do
You don't
it.
think it's enough? I should add a couple more.
No, my God, no, stop.
You think I should start buying in my own books?
Flabbergasted by you. And I mean, like the same thing like Carissa and like Aaron, who does a bunch of stuff. And it's like when you guys talk about all these different projects, like Tim Fling talks about his podcast, his book, and his new cryptid TV. I'm just so excited to be in this community because you guys inspire me. And I feel like I don't do enough.
You do enough. You
Feels like
do
I
more
gotta do
than enough.
more. Like get to work, Laurie.
Not at all. You
Oh
are
my God.
some would say you're taking the better road and kind of seeing one project through before you start launching it. And in some ways, I've always kind of been like that, bouncing around to different things. But I also had, a decade before where I did some other longer running series and other things too. So now I feel like I can bounce around a little bit because I have kind of, a little bit of a loyal community that will support me in some way.
Yeah. I feel like my bouncing has been to other people's projects,
That's
which
okay
is
too. Dip your
which
toes, get back to yours. And then,
yeah,
you
well,
also do multiple weekly shows and, have a life and children too. So don't be too
right,
hard on
there
yourself.
is that. And then of course the riddles and the short films. But
Right?
I
That too.
feel like when I bounce
Chicken
around to other
nuggets.
people's projects, I don't have to put in the effort to campaign as much. Like I will still promote those people weekly, if not
Absolutely.
more. But it's
It's a
Lori is
different
the new.
mental space though. You're not
It
like you
is.
said, you're not thinking about I have to set up a campaign, I have to do merch, I have to do you're just like my only focus is a story. I put my hours into it and promote it. And that's
Yeah.
a nice pocket to be in every once in a while.
Right. And hopefully you meet new people, you
Yeah.
broaden your community. Because we just finished up the campaign for Big Dog Inc., the 14-year anthology. And so like getting to know Big Dog Inc. fans was a lot of fun. And just hanging out with Tom. Like Tom would be like, "Hey, I'm doing a live stream. Are you free?" I'd be like, "Sure." And that was the extent of my planning,
Yeah. That's the best.
which was way easier, right?
Right.
So Lori is the new queen of what? Mars?
Merch.
Merch. No, Carissa's the queen of merch. Let's
But
be honest.
she's the emperor of merch. She's
She's
above
the
her
emperor
now.
of merch. She always will. She does so much
No, I'm
merch.
talking about you. You look down
Me?
at her and say, "I make my own merch."
I'm
Get on my
the
level.
no, no. Everybody does things different, right? And for me, I'm the Michelangelo. I create the
Oh
thing.
yeah, there you
There
go.
we go.
There's definitely got to be something satisfying about that. Just watching you bind the books, I'm like, oh man, I got some old issues here. Maybe I could bind them together and kind of
Yeah.
repurpose them. Do
This
you take old books or do you is your material new?
I can do both.
Okay.
But this was an actual the novellas, and it was printed in 1990. So they wanted
That's
to say
cool.
92. So it's a little bit older, which I learned from, because when I bind my own stuff and the paper is new and crisp and white, it
Mhm.
acts differently than when you bind the older stuff that's kind of yellowed.
Mm.
And I trimmed this, so it's a little bit, the margins are a little bit shorter, but I figured this was my copy anyway, so it didn't matter. But I'm learning. So I went up in my attic and I found a bunch of Stephen King books. I used to read a lot of Dean Koontz when I was a young adult, so I have a
Mhm.
bunch of Dean Koontz books. I found The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, so I'll probably rebind those.
Nice.
Just stuff to keep me busy, like when I'm manic and I don't have anything to do, like I don't have any pages to letter right now, Gilbert, get me some pages. Um, then I'll do stuff like this. And plus I can make TikToks and it just helps me, build my digital footprint, blah, blah, blah. But people love
Mhm.
it. People love to watch bookbinding. I do. When I was That's how I found it, is I was just watching TikToks and I saw someone take a book apart and I was like, I can do that. And then you find out you have to order, like, a bunch of tools and supplies
Oh,
and
geez.
things that you don't have, and you spend all that money. But the most expensive thing I bought was, I think, the guillotine, but that was worth it.
And that might have, extra use with politicians someday. So, you never know.
I was like, my husband was like, there's a giant box on our porch and it's heavy. And I was like, oh, it's the guillotine. And he was like, excuse me, what?
Do what now?
I was like, it's paper cutter, like the ones you see at school. Like, one of
Yeah.
those, but it's a fancy one, right? But yeah, that was probably the most. Everything else is pretty inexpensive. It's just chipboard and special kind of book cloth, and it's PVA glue, which is just school glue.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
Did not know
Elmer's
that.
glue.
I did
Mhm.
not know that.
Yeah. So you
Works.
can actually, when you start, like, I didn't have the guillotine, I didn't have, like uh just they have like specialized tools. There's a template that they have for poking holes in the paper so you can bind it.
Yep.
Yeah, so I have a cheap one. I probably want a better one, because that one kind of gets loose, and then when you poke the holes off center, it kind of binds it funny. So
Mm.
you learn as you go. But tools are very helpful in this. But
Tools.
yeah, this is what I'm doing after this show, is I'm working on the design for the front and the spine and the back of this. So, and then I'm going to cut it out of my Cricut and use my t-shirt press to iron it on.
Nice.
So we'll see how it turns out. But I'm pretty happy with the bind. It turned out nice. So, but I think
That's
that's
cool.
something that I could continue to market. Like, I'm going to be binding some books for Christopher Brown. He's kickstarting a novel that he wrote. And so I think one of his tiers is, I think he has 5 max, where I will hand bind like his novel. So he sent me the file and I'm going to print it and bind it and cut it and do all that fun stuff.
Cool.
So
See, that's cool.
yeah.
I just
That would
buy
be
my
fun.
books and ship them out. That's all I'm
Yeah,
doing.
ship them to me, I'll bind them.
I might do
I'll
that
be
with
like,
some old single issues to try and make them into hardcovers or
well,
something.
I'm wondering if you can pull out the staples and bind each issue as they call it a signature when you fold a bunch of papers and then you bind them together. So like each issue could be its own signature, and then you could bind those together. I'm wondering. I
Yeah,
might have to poke some more holes.
I know a small press comic company who did that. But they did the trade paperback like glue binding,
Yeah.
and yeah, they would notoriously get trashed because they would fall apart. So they must
Well,
have
the
done
glue binding
something.
is
Yeah,
what do they call it? The perfect bind. It's
yeah.
different than a traditional one because it's just glue and then
Mhm.
paper. So with this kind of bind that I have, there's actually a piece of cloth in between. So I'm not gonna be able to show everybody what I'm talking about. But when you bind the actual book, the pages together, there's a piece of, they call it mull, M-U-L-L, that you glue to the spine, and so it's less likely to fall apart because you have the reinforced. It's like almost like miniature graph paper. And cloth, you know what I'm talking about? There's a bunch of holes in it so you can glue it together. So I think that's a bit sturdier than just like the perfect bound glue.
Yeah, and I think that was their mistake. They were trying to take like issues that hadn't sold and kind of rebind them to
Oh, and
make
they
them into
just
trade
glued them?
paperbacks, and they just were falling apart. Oops. And part of
Oh.
it, like I know comic collectors who bind their books like old issues they have because they want them in a hardcover and they don't have them, and they do it like you. They have to sew it and then bind it, and then that keeps it together. But when you just try to like
Yeah.
glue it into a little plastic trade paperback cover, then they were falling apart. Oops. No wonder that company is basically out of business.
Are they out of business? That's too bad. What's this? I have not heard of Big Dog Ink in some time. Yeah, they're still around. They're still doing, he does a lot of stuff too. Like same thing. Like he's up there with you, John. He does like 4 or 5, I'm not sure how many Kickstarters a year. And he has planned into 2025 as well. He actually booked my show in January. And I was like, are you serious?
Nice. Oh, I thought I was bad booking a month and a half in advance.
No, I'm booked into October. I think
Holy
October
mother.
is full.
Wow.
I have 3 weeks open in November. And then people have started booking into December and January already.
Wow. Jeez.
It's crazy.
Yeah, well, Tom's running a whole company and doing all that, and he's been around forever. So
Yeah. When I bind comic books, I use needle and thread, no gutter loss, and holds together tight. Yeah, sewing is also. I love the sewing part.
oh, Andrew,
And
you've been holding out on me, man. You got to show me how to bind some of these old issues.
yeah, Andrew knows. I was gonna say, if he's local to you, you might want to hit him up to rebind some of your stuff.
No, I think he's a LA area, so he's a ways away from me. Old friend of mine.
That's cool though. I think that when you use the guillotine, it's the most satisfying, because when I was doing those mini trades, I was printing my own, mini black and white trades of Path, and I did the rough bind, and then the guillotine showed up, and then I was like, oh, it just
Yeah.
takes it up to the next level. It just makes it look so clean and crisp.
I remember I used to use that in art class in high school. Shunk.
Yep, just gotta watch your fingers. The thing's super
Yeah,
sharp.
right. It is sharp.
Yep. But
That's
I
cool.
love that thing. My husband's like, why? I'm like,
I
I was
don't
born
have
next to
enough
the Cricut and the 3D printer.
shit. No problems.
Right.
Unlimited space.
Right. Right. My garage is full. So John, what else, man? Tell us something else. Let's talk about future plans or current plans or
Well, outside of this year, I do want to I want to get Drumsticks of Doom going at a little bit faster of a clip, so I think I'll focus on at least 2 issues of that next year. And then hopefully on to the second trade paperback at some point. Mata Sorcier and I, who you saw her great art on CPS,
yeah,
we're already talking about the 4th and final issue of that next year, so that would then be on to trade paperback. And then again, I think that's a big step, like I said, for us. When I can have 2 or 3 trade paperbacks on a table,
that's amazing.
I think it's going to be good for me long term. Yeah, so and then LCS, the second issue, now will be Winston and I will start planning. Spoiler, he actually did do the second. He got so excited about the book, he offered to do the second issue cover already. So it's actually in the back of the book. You'll see the second issue. It's a little bit of a spoilery cover, so we saved it for the back.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah. So all those series will be continuing. I every year I say, as the name states, right?
Yeah.
I named it Part-Time Comics because it was supposed to be a nod to myself putting limits on how much I took on, and it hasn't happened. Travis Gibb invited me to another anthology. I said yes. I have 2 other anthologies coming out. I'm like, yes. I just say yes to everything. So don't ask me to do anything else, anybody.
You're like, please stop asking me.
So I've got multiple anthologies coming out this year, which I'm excited about.
Oh my gosh.
I'm in the Set List anthology, which is music themed, which will have an exclusive Drumsticks of Doom story. I'm in another anthology themed around music we're starting to talk about. So I do actually have some others for this year as well. But those are, like you said, those are shorter things. I'm not the primary person. So it's
Yeah.
nice just kind of write your script, work with your artist, and then, promote it on social
Mhm.
media. But next year I want to focus on the ongoing series. Like
So
I said, CPS is likely to wrap.
thank
Drumstick
you.
of Doom is in its middle arc, and then LCS is finishing its first. So I want to kind of try to refocus on it, but I say that, Laurie, every year, and then in December somebody comes to me like, we should do this, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Every year I throw it like ice. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do a convention, and last year I was like, yeah, we're gonna do a Simpsons themed anthology. Like, who cares? It's just time. Every year I do that.
Shiny things. Shiny
Yep.
things.
So the plan for next year is 2 issues of Drumsticks of Doom, 1 CPS, 1 LCS,
Okay.
as of this recording. And talk to me next year, and I'll probably have 8
You'll be
other
back on and we'll talk about it and be like, so how are you on your list?
Well, and apparently I have to book for August next year already.
You did what?
Apparently I have to book your show for August
Yeah,
next
for
year if I
August
want to
of
be
next
on,
year,
right?
please.
Oh, geez. Yeesh.
It's a double-edged sword because people want to come on, and so yes, book. But then
There's only so many
people that
Tuesdays.
what's that?
There's only so many Tuesdays.
There's only so many Tuesdays. Well, that and it's just like people like, hey, I'm launching my Kickstarter next week, and I'm like, I got
Sorry.
nothing,
Well,
and
I appreciate your show because it is more of a personal conversation. You're not.
yeah.
I love going on the big chaotic shows too, but you're. I mean, if you ever have me on, I'm happy to share with more than one guest. But I
Mhm.
know I'm sure for a lot of your guests, they appreciate the time to talk.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you have 3 or 4 people, it's a lot going on. So
Yeah,
your show, it's
no.
difficult. You really literally have 52 slots a year, and that's it.
Mhm.
So I
That's
feel
it.
honored that I have taken 3 of them in the last
Yeah.
year.
But it's I love the show because we really get a chance to talk about what you wanna talk about, you know what I mean? If you wanna promote a show, great. If you wanna talk about the ins and outs of what you're working on, great. Writing technique and, influences, and people talk about movies, and it's just like you said, it's that one-on-one conversation where myself and the chat really gets to know you, and I feel that's super important when it comes to projects. If someone just comes on the show and is like, "Back my book," and it's like, why? Who are you? Why should we people buy you these days, you know?
They surely do, much to my lament. Um, but
What are you
yes,
talking
and
about?
that's part of the shows, the in-person shows that really makes it different too, because they want to get to know you, interact with
Yeah.
you, ask you a couple questions. So it's different than just kind of clicking something on a site. And that's what, small press is all about. You got to have that personal
Mhm.
touch to it.
Especially in the beginning, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have a big publisher that could be like, this book is great," and then everybody buys it.
Right.
Like,
For sure.
I'm so
And again, especially for me, I mean, Part-Time Comics, again, could just be called Westhoff's Comics or whatever. It is me. So,
Mhm.
I have to own up to that and, sell myself a little bit too, what
Of
people are
course.
getting into.
Of course. That's what this show is about. Speaking of selling yourself, tell everybody where they can find you on some social media
Well, the
and,
best place is probably the link
all
tree
right.
here,
Yeah.
because then you can choose how you want to engage with my obnoxiousness online. I am perpetually on all social medias all the time. We are Part-Time Comics at all the social medias. If you want to hit us up there, if you don't, I respect that. If you just want to be on our mailing list where we send out about 1 letter a week, YouTube, I post YouTube's about once a week. So again, you can choose how you want to engage, because I certainly understand everybody's different in how they want to engage. So all the things are there, including all the latest Kickstarter links are going to be there each time we roll a new one out. So it's always good to just kind of save that link tree and follow where
Mhm.
where you want to.
Yeah, that's the way to go, you know what I mean? Because that has everything, and at least that way, people can pick and choose. I feel that way too about me and my social media because I can be especially when the campaign is running, I'm posting every damn day, so it's like
Yeah, and I've had a
maybe
couple
don't
of close
follow
friends,
all the
tell
things.
me they
What?
muted me, or I've had a couple of close friends tell me they muted me or they unfollowed me, and I get it, because
It is
It
what
the
it is,
carnival barker
people.
thing even gets on my nerves sometimes. So no offense
Yeah.
taken. You engage how you want to engage. Um, and yeah, I will say I did recently switch to Substack. I think that's a
Mhm.
fun way to
Mhm.
engage with an audience because it's a mailing list, but there's engagement. They can like the post, they can comment, they can share it with their Substack. So I've found that to be a cool way. Then that's something where if I'm following a creator, I get an update once a week or once a month on what's going on with them. I don't have to, see it every time I open every app or anything like that. So I've enjoyed it. We just started ours with Part-Time Comics. So, check us out on the Substacks. Again, it's Part-Time Comics with an X.
Cool. Yeah. And thank you again for coming on the show. I always love when you come on. We just get a chance to just catch up. This is one of my favorite things about the show is booking my friends. Because it's like we're so busy all the time and running around. I may not be in the know of all the things that you're doing. So it's like when you come on the show, we get a full 2 hours to just hang out and catch up on everything that you're doing. So I love
appreciate
having
it, and I appreciate you and your loyal audience helping push us over the line.
Heck yeah, I'm so
I wonder, am I
glad.
the only person that's happened for? Or?
No, I think it's happened a few times, but it's always a great feeling where I'm like, oh, we're so close. We're gonna push him over on the show. Like that was my plan today. And I was just like, yes, it happened. So I was good job, Laurie.
Someone tried to stop you, but we persevered.
Right. We made it. We made it.
We made it. We did it.
So just a reminder to everybody that the survey is out for the Slice and Dice. So we are going to be doing the Smash and Slice on the last week of August, the last Tuesday of August, on the Tuesday Morning Brew, which will be my official 100th episode. So I know we're on like episode 130, whatever, but I took over at around episode 135.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I took over as host at 135. So on 136, because I took a week off and Nem hosted, we will be celebrating my personal 100th episode by smashing a jackfruit with some kind of weapon. So the survey is up. It's in the Path of the Pale Rider group.
Only a couple weeks. You got to get it in.
Got to get in there and choose. Right now, the two-handed axe is winning, which I'm excited about because it was tied with the sledgehammer, which has won the last 2 times. So people really like the sledgehammer, but I'm itching to use this two-handed axe.
Yeah. Is the art guillotine on there? Can we go over that?
I didn't want it in the guillotine. That's the problem. Man. Jackfruit. I mean, like if it's a cucumber, I could put it in there.
All right. Next time we'll do that.
Right. But I like to go outside and put some oomph into it. I plan on I saved some sparklers from the 4th of July. So I'm going to, as many as there are, I don't know if there's 20 or 100, I'm going to light the sparklers on the jackfruit and then destroy it in the Pikachu suit. That's the plan.
Well, good fruit destroying, and then in about 4 weeks, people get those surveys in.
That's right. And we will catch you all at that time. Make sure you tune in next week. I got a plethora of guests coming on this show. Like I said, we're booked out until November. So make sure you tune in every week. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the Laurie Calcaterra YouTube channel. I know I hate asking for that, but it's kind of you got to. But hopefully you can watch some of the other videos. I have martial art videos. I have the Path of the Pale Rider videos. And I even have a video with me cooking. I have a playlist that I started that's called Eat Good Food Before You Die. So I make butter, I make pierogies, I make cheese from scratch. I do, hot sauce. What's the next one I planned? I was going to do pickles.
Oh, nice. I'm trying to learn how to do pickles this year from our garden.
Yeah. Refrigerator pickles are the way to go, but they say you can wait like 6 weeks, wait like 3 months. They're so much better.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's like they're okay when you wait like the minimum time, but they're way better if you wait like a lot longer.
My wife's very excited about that. I'm trying to get my green thumb going, and cucumbers seem to be the only things I can get to that really survive regularly. And my daughter loves cucumbers, so. But now I want to move on to having enough to pickle.
Yeah, you need to. My tomato plants aren't doing so hot. We're in Texas. It's getting hot now. They're dying.
Yeah.
No, I think the tomatoes.
Even up here in Illinois, a lot of my stuff, my Brussels sprouts got roasted, my green beans disintegrated. It's been a weird season.
It is. It's been real hot. So, anywho, catch us all next week, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to kiss your babies and be excellent to each other. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit